Be ready, guys. 5 seconds. Start. Sir, today our government is running various programs for the upliftment of the people living below the poverty line under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Rajiv Gandhi, who has a soft corner for the underprivileged classes. He has done a lot to eradicate poverty. Various welfare schemes have been launched to help the middle class and the farmers. While going through the 20-point program, we find that no section of the society has been left untouched and all sections are going to benefit from this program. It is highly deplorable that some persons as well as opposition parties are trying to undermine the good work done by the government and are misguiding people. I want to submit that all the inputs, for example, fertilizers, seeds, water and electricity needed by the farmers for cultivation are being made available to the farmers and not a single farmer faces difficulty in procuring these inputs. In spite of the present shortage of electricity, if somebody wants to obtain an electricity connection and submits a form duly filled in, efforts are made to grant electricity connection to him. I want to state that our government is definitely determined to establish big industries in all the districts. Side by side, efforts are definitely being made to spread a network of small-scale industries in all the districts to provide work to those willing people who are jobless. The main task of central as well as the state governments today is to provide fresh and pure drinking water to people of all sections living in the country. We are providing such water to them through the India Mark II pumps. There were such villages and places in the east where no arrangements could be made for supply of potable water. We had tried to supply water through small water tanks and by laying pipelines, but we were not able to supply enough amount of water. By installing India Mark II hand pumps, we are trying to supply water to 200 million people today. We are trying to supply water through these means to the localities inhabited by farmers and poor people who belong to scheduled castes and weaker sections and to the villages inhabited by our Adivasi brethren. I have stated again and again in this house and that there are such places where water could not be supplied even on occasions of marriage. I would also like to say that our nation can be strengthened only when agriculture of this country is strengthened and our farmers become stronger. Our efforts towards becoming self-reliant in food have proved very effective. We have created big buffer stocks of food grains and have been able to overcome very difficult situation. Under various programs for production of rice, etc., production has gone up in the eastern states. The government is determined to increase food production to 1750 lakh tons by the end of 11th 5-year plan. More attention would be paid towards increasing production in this critical situation. A working group has been established in this connection. I wanted to say that many such plans are being implemented. Besides, I would also like to say that Indo-Sri Lanka Accord is being appreciated by the people of our country. Everywhere one hears people appreciating this agreement. Our Prime Minister has concluded this agreement with great courage and bravery. The way he is working today is before you all, but efforts are being made to mislead the people of the country. The name of Bofors is being talked about. Our colleagues in opposition parties mention Bofors. The people in our opposition parties have gone to the extent of saying that the guns applied by Bofors are stuffed with hay. But I want to say that when the state of guns was analyzed, the capacity of the guns revealed that it was even more than given out. Therefore, I want to say that the people would not be taken in by those who want to mislead them. The people of our country know that our government, our leaders and the members of parliament are serving them well and are making efforts for the welfare of the people. I would also like to say that we are trying to provide electricity in each and every hut. We are trying to provide water to every field and we are also trying to provide educational facilities to all near their homes so that they have not to cover long distances for receiving education. Our Navodaya Vidyalayas are of the type with which culture of our nation is interlinked. Today our boys of North India go to South India and the boys from South India come to North India for education. Thus, our culture will get intermixed and this is in progress. Mr. Deputy Chairman, it is a formal proposal that has been placed before us and I do not think there is anybody in this house who would oppose the recommendation for ratification of this very important convention. These conventions have a history that goes back to at least 60 or 70 years, if not more, but the present convent on the Universal Copyright Convention is much more comprehensive than all the previous conventions in this regard. I have not very much to say about this convention. Dr. Shri Mali has explained the objectives of this convention and the benefits that would accrue from it. It is a very healthy sign of the time that despite occasional joltings, we do certain things that go to the cohesion of the various nation states of the world. There is one important step in that direction. Especially in matters of culture, we are trying to get nearer to each other and bring ourselves under obligations that are common and reciprocal. I have only one or two words to offer by way of comments. It is a pity that two important segments of the world are not yet signatories to this pact, the Soviet bloc and China. And so long as these two very important areas of the world do not come within this convention, we cannot expect the best out of it. The importance of this convention is all the more so because India will very shortly be participating in one of the major projects initiated by the UNESCO, the project of East-West Cultural Exchange Relations, a proposal that was accepted at the last General Conference of the UNESCO held at New Delhi. This program envisages that translations of some of the most important works from Asian and African countries will be exchanged with similar translations of work of Western origin for our cultural benefit. We are going to participate in that major project and the convention will be a very useful safeguard in that respect. As years roll on, more and more Indian authors are being translated in various languages of the world and these books are becoming more and more popular. It is only proper that our authors get the copyright protection in these countries that are contracting parties on the strength of this convention. It is a pity that this convention was adopted in three major languages, English, French and Spanish, and not in Hindi. I regret somewhat that we could not have our national language included in the list. In fact, whenever the question comes up for recording and propagating international contracts, the claim of the Indian national language is not recognized. I do not know whether the case is not pressed or whether it just goes by default. On the other hand, it is a matter of congratulation that India is a member of the 22-member International Committee, the first committee which will be set up in respect of this convention. I agree with Dr. Shri Mali when he says that by and by some of the countries that are not yet signatories to this convention will eventually come within this convention and be signatories to this and also achieve the ratification that is necessary for this purpose. It is the most obvious thing to do and I hope this House will recommend its ratification without any demand. Mr. Deputy Chairman, the motion for ratification has not come a day too soon. Those of us who had to work on the Select Committee on the Copyright Bill have had to scan the provisions of this convention and we benefited a great deal by studying the provisions of this convention and we also tried to secure the best advantage to our language writers in this respect. Now, sir, today by ratifying this convention, it is obviously clear that we are undertaking a very important international commitment. It has been said, I believe, in the other house in this respect, that with its long and ancient cultural heritage, with its great past literature in the ancient languages, India will have much to give and therefore India stands to gain. But, sir, one aspect of the thing which is not generally probably realized is that today the Indian languages are on the eve of a very major development. We have accepted Hindi as our national language. The regional languages as well are going to be developed in a very large way. The major problem today is of technical books and as such we will have very much to take from as many as 3 countries. From the literature of 3 countries who are not parties to the Berlin Convention but have joined the Universal Copyright Convention, namely the German Federal Republic, Japan, and the United States of America.